Welcome back to CB4K, and this is Total War Pharaoh's Dynasties Battles. This is probably one of the most important things about Total War. Right next to the campaign. Like, it depends on who you ask, but I would consider battles possibly the top 2 reasons why Total War is so popular. Good units, good sort of countering to strategies and tactics, in the moment gameplay. The battles really are what make Total War special, because they come off like massive armies clashing. That's what really attracted me to this franchise, is because the battles don't seem like a small skirmish. These battles are all-out wars. Like, there's thousands of people in battle here, and I appreciate that from a gameplay perspective. But before we begin, as always, if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, hit the like button. It gets puts me more in your likely to see on your homepage of YouTube. And it helps my channel just ever so much. And it gets me to make more content just like this. Because if I know that you like this content, then I'm going to make more content just for you guys. Now, as for the other part of subscribing, that's important. Because subscribing helps the channel grow. If you haven't subscribed already, then don't be shy. Hit the subscribe button. You can cancel at any time. And I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And any little bit helps. So, now that I've talked your ear off about the various business and goings-on of YouTube, we can now focus on the video. The thing you are here for! Let's begin! I like this music they picked. It's pretty good. It's nice and epic, nice and like building the funness of the game. That's the word.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present Camels. I'm Steve Coleman, joined today by Milcho Vasilev, looking at...
Milcho Vasilev.
Allow me to present Camels.
Yes. More of this. I like his derpy, like, yay! Love his look.
I'm Steve Coleman, joined today by Milcho Vasilev.
Milcho Vasilev. Oh!
Right, so battles have been updated.
Well, not new, but, you know. But we haven't seen you in one of these videos
Steve
yet.
Coleman, joined today by Milcho Vasilev, looking at battles. Right, so battles have been updated.
Looks happy to
we
be
now
here
have lethality, visibility updates, tweaked missile trajectories, and a lot more. Can you tell us a bit about the lethality system to start with?
Lethality.
Okay, so lethality is a new system which we are introducing to the battles, which would help make the battles feel a lot more impactful and visceral and cinematic in a way. Basically, what lethality does, it adds a percentage chance every time a blow is landed for it to be lethal outright and kill the opponent immediately.
Okay. I like that because it feels a bit old school in the old school Total Wars. One of the big criticisms for Total War Warhammer is that everyone has a massive health bar. So units dying takes a while, and it's sort of like the grindiness of it. And it's not like too bad, it's just that it takes a while to kill off even the weaker units. To the point of like, alright, here we go. Meanwhile here, I feel like battles are decided quickly, but they can also last longer. And it's because lethality is such a random thing. I like random things happening in the game. I like procedural things happening in the game because once you get good at a game, you can just sort of predict what you're going to do next. Like, one of the criticism I think for Arkham Asylum games I have is that once you really start to get good at the game and learn its controls, learn its tactics, the game can't really surprise you as much as it used to at the beginning when you started playing it. But in Total War, you can always be surprised. There's always a chance you can be surprised. It depends. It takes a very long time for that to wear off on you, but even now, I think still like even like someone like Legend of Total War, he can get a surprise dropped on here and there. But yeah,
This works both for melee weapons and for ranged weapons, which
Melee.
can really be noticed on the battlefield. And because of that, to make sure that the pacing of the battles remains slow and tactical, how we want it for Pharaoh, we made sure to rework all the units and all their stats to make sure that they include this lethality and it works as we intended to be. Lethality helps us add new finishing animations because it now happens faster in that regard, and it makes the battles really feel more cinematic in that way.
great. Like, I think it might have some issues in it. Like, the Phantoms might go too fast, but we'll see. We have to see it play out before we make a final decision. I always say that, even while I really like a trailer, and I think it has some good elements in it. We got to see that play out in the game before we can all just say, yeah, it's a good game. Yeah, it's a good game. Oh yeah, I probably should mention Legend of Total War. He is a Total War YouTuber. You can find him. Don't worry, just type it in. Easy to find.
Great, okay. And what about the tweaked missile trajectories and the updates to visibility?
Okay, so we wanted to make sure that the missile weapons feel as realistic as possible. We know how in the real world they often show us archers shooting at those huge arcs, aiming high and then shooting at enemies so far. But actually a bow is, or even slings, are much more effective when they're being shot directly because none of the force is being wasted. We wanted to make sure to represent that well in the game.
Interesting.
So we are making the trajectories of the weapons be more dynamic, whereas the units can choose if they want to shoot directly at enemies or choose to shoot with an arcing shot. And this will result in different damage and different lethality.
Okay, that's very interesting. I mean, they mentioned it in a blog, but to hear them like explain it like this in the video and they show it on the screen, it's a nice little, like, yeah, because shooting directly, okay. First, you see these arcing, they're probably going to be less effective than these people who are shooting directly. So, it'll be sort of like how rifle units in Total War Warhammer can shoot in a direct way, but you can't shoot around people in that way. So you have to sort of get them on at the sides or the back of the enemy. But you can even get them from the front, but you got to remember they're going to be closing in on your guys, so you got to make a good effort at slowing them down somehow. So you're going to have to send troops in there to slow them down. Yeah, this could be really interesting.
In terms of visibility, we are doing an update of how it works in the game to make sure that we are adding another tactical layer on the battlefield.
Visibility.
Making sure that players can more easily outmaneuver their opponents by keeping units hidden and so on. The way units hide in forests will now work slightly differently, and the way they see when they're out of forest is also being improved to.
Okay, so forest gameplay is going to be a little bit different than.
In forests will now work slightly differently, and the way they see when they're out of forests is also being improved to make it feel more realistic. Now you can.
All right, that's good. So. It's harder to see while they're in the forest, or okay, let me repeat that.
The way they see when they're out of forests is also being improved to make it feel more realistic. And now you can also hide units behind forests or obstacles, not just inside them.
Really?
In the original game.
So instead of in most Total Wars you can hide people in the forest, but behind, that's interesting.
Overall visibility of units have been tweaked. And so now units that are more armored have larger helmets that impede their sight in a way. Will have more trouble noticing enemies that are not too close to them. Whereas other unit types are going to be more like scouts that players can use to try and fight.
Okay, I like that. Visibility adds a level of strategy to it. So now those lightly army units are just not going to be fodder. They're going to be scouts. They're going to be people who have certain advantage that the armor ones don't have. The heavily armored ones are probably going to be your elite troops, and they're going to hold certain areas and going to be like your main attack force or defense force. But your lightly armored troops do have a role still. They can scout, they can outmaneuver, they can surprise or lay an ambush for unsuspecting opponents or enemy units. Yeah, they're giving a sense that you're not just going to spam one unit type and win every battle like you do in Warhammer. Warhammer, you can do that in the campaign map. You can just spam one unit type, and that unit type will be just perfect. It'll defeat any army that comes its way.
Find the enemies on the
Here you're going to have to use a much more balanced force to get things done.
battlefield, and thus gain more knowledge on the enemy's tactics and outmaneuver them.
Awesome. Okay, so speaking of units, there's a ton of new ones coming to the game in the update. Let's home in on a few of them now. Let's look at Mesopotamia. Do you have any particular favourites? And can you tell us a bit about their strengths and weaknesses in combat?
So Mesopotamia is mostly divided into two distinct rosters, the Assyrians and the Babylonians. The Assyrians are much more elite, low numbers and specialized, but they do actually have a cavalry, which opens up a lot of new tactical possibilities on the battle map. Babylonians, on the other hand, rely on a lot of very cheap but numerous units that are not that good in battles by themselves, but they are supported by the so-called taskmaster unit types that allow them to become stronger when they are around. So positioning your army and positioning your units correctly when playing the Babylonians or playing against them, it's going to be vital and very important.
Okay. It sounds like they're going to be played both differently in many ways. And I think that's one of my biggest issues with Total War Warhammer is that some of the unit types feel similar to the others. Like, the dwarves kind of feel similar to the Empire because you're using a lot of cannons, you're using a lot of weapons, you're using a lot of sort of fortified position and fire your siege weapons at the enemy. Like, fire your long-range siege weapons at them. But here it sounds like you're going to have to use more complex tactics. You can't just fire it and forget it. You got to focus on various surprise maneuvering. Don't get me wrong, Total War Warhammer has its positives as well. I'm just saying this is much more flexible, and you have much more sense that you're doing something different with each faction, rather than the same old in every single battle.
What's changed in the Aegean? What are the Greeks bringing in terms of their strengths and weaknesses?
So we are reintroducing a lot of the units that we had in Troy in Total War Pharaoh. All of the units from Troy needed a rework to make sure that they fit the frame of Pharaoh in those slower paced, more tactical battles. Most of their abilities, their stats, they have been completely reworked. In terms of the Mycenaeans and the Trojans, we are keeping the flavor of the armies, where the Trojans are a very defensive focused faction with some of the biggest shields in the game, like those large figure of 8 shields that they wield. They have almost unbreakable lines, but what they have in defense, they lack in offense, where the Mycenaeans excel at. The Mycenaeans are the much more aggressive type of roster that depends more on chargers and shock units that can really pack a punch.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. They have two very distinct ways of play. One way of play is offense and heavy. Another is defense with the big figure 8 shield, like you said. The Trojans, yeah, that makes a lot of sense for the Trojans. I mean, I think they were a defensive army. But yeah, I think I'm really excited for this. We'll see the update. Don't make any final judgments until you get the update in your hot little hand and you play it for yourself for a bit.
In the moment of the charge, but I cannot stand too long in prolonged melee combat.
Let's have a look at battle maps. Troy had some absolutely beautiful battle maps, and Mesopotamia as well. What are we going to expect in the way of new maps?
Yes, we are reintroducing all the maps that we had in Troy uh, in here in Pharaoh. They have been slightly reworked to make sure they fit in the Pharaoh framework with adding the new victory points, making the walls of settlements wider, but overall they are going to be the way you saw them in Troy. For the Mesopotamian regions, we are adding a ton of new battle maps, including the city of Babylon itself, with its unique architecture and new unique layout. We are also making the land battles a lot larger than they used to be to allow for even more tactical outmaneuvering, which the players enjoy in this more slow-paced and new unique layout. We are also making the land battles a lot larger than they used to be.
Land battles. Let's hear that again.
In regions, we are adding a ton of new battle maps, including the city of Babylon itself, with its unique architecture and new unique layout.
Okay, I do like the maps. The maps seem pretty good. I'm hesitant to say I'm excited for the maps because I don't really notice the maps, but with all these changes that they've made to the various tactics in the game, the maps are now actually important. Before, the maps were important, but, you can get around certain things. Like, if you got a bridge or something, you can set up a nice little ambush on the bridge, and they have to cross it, so.
We are also making the land battles a lot larger than they used to be to allow for even more tactical outmaneuvering, which the players enjoy in this more slow-paced type of gameplay.
So there we are, 60 new and reworked battle maps including Babylon, 150 new and reworked units including camels and cavalry, updated mechanics, lethality, visibility, trajectories, and so much more. This is Bronze Age Total War, and we can't wait for you to get your hands on Total War Pharaoh Dynasties.
Honestly, I think Pharaoh is a better name than Bronze Age.
We're finally giving the players a Total War that fits as much.
Nikolov, I missed you, buddy.
Possible.
The reason I'm much more being called Pharaoh Total War, because people understand what Pharaoh is. They like when you say Pharaoh, people understand that you mean the Bronze Age, and Egypt is probably one of the oldest civilizations that people know about, and like people immediately make that connection with Pharaoh in Egypt in the Bronze Age. So I think Total War Pharaoh is a good name, and it has become Total War Bronze Age over time. Would I recommend this game now? I haven't played it. I have it in my Steam, ready to go once we get that big update. But would I recommend getting it? I would say I have to play it first. I have to play the new update. I have to see if the new update's going to work. I want to see if they're going to do updates after the new update. They might. I don't know. But until then, we'll just see.
I'm excited to be able to conquer a lot more lands and fight different cultures.
Okay, so it's coming out July 25th. So you can mark that on your calendars, and I'll see you guys there. I might do a intermediate. It was just as before the update, sort of looking on Total War Pharaoh. If you guys want to join me on that, I might be able to do I'll probably just do a video, maybe a live stream. We will see. I might not be able to do it at all. You know how crazy the world is right now. So, and I got things going on right in my own personal life. I know lots of other people have their own thing going on. So, if I don't get to it, I don't get to it. But I will definitely checking out Total War Dynasties and its free update on the 25th. So I might have something around that time coming out for this game. But I will definitely have another video for on Total War Pharaoh. And I'll see how it does. It might do pretty well, and I might want to do more stuff with Total War Pharaoh. I know it's doing better than any of my Warhammer stuff, so I might just go ahead and do Pharaoh focus on Pharaoh. All right, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for stopping by.